This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Well, good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Wednesday, January 4th, 2023. We're so glad you can join us today. In today's episode of Ag Matters PM, I talk with Iowa State University Professor Dr. Dan Thomson about the Iowa beef checkoff and how that funding is used for research specific to the state. We also have a check of that ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Well, we're at the end of another trading day in the ag marketplace, and for a bit of analysis, we go to Jacob Burks of agmarket.net. Jacob, it's not been a great start to the new year, so what's been going on? Let's start in the grain markets today.
No, I wish we could reboot the grain markets a little bit like you guys had to do your computer, but I think the point here is we saw some selling come in after we saw that normal Christmas rally. We talk a lot about how the grain markets typically go from the December report up to the end of the year, and at this point here, coming after a 3-day weekend, we saw a little bit of pressure, and the momentum is just built here. This doesn't really feel like farmers selling. We're not seeing the normal patterns of farmer selling. We're seeing some decent moisture, some fundamental reasons to take a little bit of this South American weather premium out of the market. We're not following through with a large increase of demand across most of the grains, and you're starting to see a fund community that's adding to some of their short positions, and you're starting to see some open interest increase. So. It feels really, really like a strong down market at this point.
And especially for that South American side of things, is it a bit of an overreaction? Because even if Argentina gets a good amount of moisture right now, they're so late in their planting season that it's not feasible that they'll get a full crop in.
Well, I think you said it right there. It's markets always overreact. That's what their job is, and I think that. We probably did see a little bit of maybe an overreaction. We built a lot of premium into this grain market, especially in the beans. We're higher on Jan 1 than we've ever been, in whether it's old crop beans or new crop beans by a significant amount. And so are we pulling back too much because we got a little bit of moisture in Argentina? Maybe, but you got to think that what we got to put South America all together, and what we're seeing is Brazil's crop that continues to grow. So you're probably going to see a record production from South America. Just where does it come from? That was a meal-led trade on the way up because Argentina is the exporter of meal, and that's kind of pulled back a little bit, not as much as what the soybean in general has, and that there again tells us that it's kind of some new fund shorts coming in.
Right, like you mentioned, we had soybeans sitting above that $15 level at the start of the new year, which was, I believe, record-setting at least for the past several years. How were the rest of the grain prices kind of coming into the new year?
Well, if you look at corn was in new crop was actually at 610, right? So that was actually a record for that's highest printed day on Jan 1. You look at the old crop soybeans, I think we were the second or third. 2011, 2012 was a little bit higher there. So, we our guys put some stuff together that looks at, hey, what happens if we have a weather scare or we don't have a weather scare? And we put some numbers out there and look at how does it average? What usually happens? How much of a rally if we get a weather scare? And so we put some analysis together to give us kind of a ballpark figure. Hey, where can this thing go? And we got it some detailed out, but not to waste you with the exact details of it. But like in these markets where if we have some type of weather scare, hey, we could go back and challenge prices that we saw last year. Both corn and beans could be big higher. I won't say $20, but we'll be real close. I mean, that's the type of fear that's out there in this market. So you're going to see some extreme volatility continued, mainly because we're starting off at an extremely elevated level coming into this the new year, the new calendar year. What have we done? Our exports have been terrible. So in the corn market's been just really beans have stayed pretty steady, but we're not getting rid of the product. So that's what's got everybody in fear coming to the first of the year. We have a pullback, and I think you have to say a lot of this could be a little bit of a balancing as we go into that January 12th report. It's just a big number. There's a lot of information that changes in that report on the 12th.
All right, and then what about the other side of the marketplace in the livestock complex? Are they largely just kind of following the grain action for now?
Well, I'd say no. I mean, if you look at, there's a couple things that we all know the story of the less cattle that's available. The other thing that we've seen this last week is we've seen a lot of moisture come across the plains, not in the right spots always. If you go look at like the panhandle of Texas, some of those grazing areas there around some of those feedlots, they didn't get the moisture. But other areas in Oklahoma, some of the Kansas, some of the Nebraskas that you're going to stock some cattle on did get some rain. So that I think, in my opinion, has a pretty good positive influence on what we've seen in feeder cattle today when we're up $3.45. Yes, corn come down. You can relate a little bit to that. But we were really strong across some of the sale barns that I talked to and we listened to today. You got your fat cattle that were down pretty strong yesterday, but we popped back up 30 to 50 cents here. We've seen cash market with the winter storms. I mean, we try to assess what's available out there for these packers to buy. These packers margins are we did see box beef actually move up here lately, but they've been last week in an area where margins were kind of pinching them, and I think the feedlots are going to continue to hold out here until we figure out what kind of cattle loss we had and what's available.
Right, and especially, coming out of the winter holiday season already, what's that demand picture looking like in the meat market? Are we kind of in a lull period until we get to the summer?
Well, our exports were kind of weak going into the year, and we still look for that. And that's, I think, macroeconomics. You start looking at the macroeconomics. Our dollar went up yesterday pretty significantly. We pulled back quite a bit today, I believe. Yeah, down about 30 points right now. But you're looking at what's China going to do? What's the export availability of Australia and Brazil in the cattle market and beef and pork? We really want to continue to build that export program. I think from the COVID restrictions is probably the biggest thing weighing right now on your beef export demand, and what kind of policies do they stay with their zero policy in COVID, and does that allow them to speed the process up and then get back out and continue their drive for that protein that they've gotten used to. So if that stays the course, I think our demand could be relatively strong going forward. The biggest fear you have right now is pricing yourself out of a market. We know cattle are going to be down. We know that we're going to have to go through a price increase on box beef side if we end up starting to retain heifers in the next spring. So I think there's a lot of fear in the cattle market has right now to how do we build this herd back quickly. If we go too fast, we might price ourselves out of it. So a lot of things to play to come forward here in this cattle market, and I think as of right now the cattle feeders should be very happy. You should be looking at the what ifs here. I think that you need to leave your top side in a position where you can take advantage of some of these huge prices to come. But man, if something happens in that demand picture and we don't have an early grilling season, or we don't have something of that sort to beef domestic consumption, I think that you could see some pullbacks in this market, enough that you should probably look at getting some type of risk management on.
All right, Jacob, lots of great information today, as always. For those of our listeners who would like to get in touch and learn more from the folks at agmarket.net, how can they do that?
And I would encourage everybody to go to our website and sign up for our intel. Our intel is all of we email out everything every day. We have a lot of information that can come to you. Cattle reports, we got a lot of the grain reports, we got a lot of basis information. Sign up for our intel. We do a 30-day free trial. And if you have questions, just find us there, email us, give us a call.
All right, Jacob, been great talking with you today, and we look forward to hearing from you again soon.
You bet. Thanks for having me, guys.
That again was Jacob Burks of agmarket.net. We'll go ahead and take a look at how those numbers close. That's courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. March corn is down 16 3/4 at 653 3/4. December corn down 12 even at 594 3/4. January soybeans down 9 even at 1478 1/4. November soybeans down 6 1/4 at 1390 3/4. January soybean meal up 570 at 482.50. Soybean oil down a nickel at 63.11. Chicago wheat down 30 even at 754 and a half. Minneapolis spring wheat down 15 3/4 at 903 and a half. Kansas City hard red wheat down 28 and a half at 840 3/4. March oats down 5 3/4 at 357 3/4. On the Merc, February live cattle up 42 at 157.27. January feeders up 255 at 185.25. February lean hogs down 157 at 83.50. Pork cutout down 130 at 90.50, and January Class 3 milk down 22 cents at 18.85. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, I talk with Iowa State University Professor Dr. Dan Thomson. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Last month, I was at the Iowa Cattle Industry Leadership Summit from the Iowa Cattlemen's Association, and I had the chance to talk with Iowa State University Professor Dr. Dan Thomson about the Iowa Beef Checkoff and how that funding is used for research that Iowa producers specifically want to see. Well, we are here talking with Iowa State University Professor Dr. Dan Thomson just a little bit about on beef research, really. Now, of course, we're in a unique position to have state-funded beef checkoff dollars available for research. So just talk about how that's possible and just, the benefits of being able to have that funding.
Well, thank you very much. And, we have a national beef checkoff program that everybody, when an animal is sold, $1 goes into the beef checkoff. Those dollars are only reserved to increase the promotion of beef. So we can't do research on production or health or carcass. So the state of Iowa beef producers went together and said, hey, we're going to start our own checkoff, a state checkoff, that's going to be voluntary, and it's 50 cents per head, and those dollars are going to go into a pool where part of that money is utilized for research on issues that Iowa's beef producers are facing in production performance, in grazing, and health, and in carcass characteristics.
Absolutely, and that leads me to my next point. What's some of the top research that's going on right now that really our listeners should be, in tune with?
Sure. So when we break it down and we put together a group of producers, veterinarians, packers, allied industry, and what we did is we came together and we identified the areas where we need more research in the beef industry in Iowa. One of the top ones was the beef on dairy cross calves, and understanding the health of those calves coming from the calf ranch, coming into the feedlot, understanding nutritional, how we start those on a starter ration and how much roughage to increase rumen contractility and muscling, and then developing a tool or a library for producers to better understand the performance, the health, the production management of dairy and dairy beef cross calves, which is becoming more and more of a part of our fed cattle industry in the state of Iowa. On the cow side, the two big things were grazing and looking at different types of supplementation, whether it's grain-based or whether it's a distillers-based supplementation. And then the last one, which was really kind of cool, is going in, we mow and we bale corn stalks, and it improves the number of leaves, and it breaks up some of that stalk. And we're looking at maybe if you run the mower over before you graze it, the cows have a more palatable and better grazing experience on crop residues rather than just leaving them there. And I'll wrap up with the other study. Obviously in the feed yard, one of the things that's very important for Iowa cattle feeders is understanding endpoint management and delayed marketing. So if we sell fat cattle and the packer doesn't take them for 2 weeks or 4 weeks, how much feed efficiency do we lose holding those calves that much longer? And so we have an endpoint management study with 2 different implant programs going on at the Armstrong farm down there in Cass County.
Exactly, and I mean, obviously all these things always coming back around to those producers and getting them that information and technology and research to make those advancements and, like you said, improve that efficiency and kind of build on that return on investment, especially with that beef dairy cross calves. I mean, that's a very interesting kind of conversation to have, and like you said, it's really growing as well.
Yeah, so the thing that people need to understand about research is that one research trial is not going to give us the answer for the industry. The most important part about that is engaging our researchers, having it on the top of their brain, having it involved in all of our extension discussions, because the real answers are going to come from producers, right, that are out there doing it every day. But if we keep these ideas and we keep these conversations happening because we're funding research or we're getting some key bits to the puzzle, it allows our producers, or the people in the trenches with their veterinarians, to come up with the answers, and we continue to have these discussions here at ICA or at the Iowa Beef Industry Council and really, really push Iowa beef. When we started this program, we said Iowa first, Iowa best. And so we're going to put Iowans first, and we're going to have the best beef industry anybody's ever seen.
Exactly, and I mean, Iowa's beef industry really just having a great time in recent years, having lots of growth, and like you mentioned, it's a constant cycle of going back and forth, getting that information, putting it into practice, and who better to put it into practice and get those answers than our Iowa beef producers.
They're the best, and they're the most knowledgeable, they're the most conscientious, they're in it for the right reasons, and I'm just proud to be in the Iowa beef industry.
All right, and are there any other research topics on the horizon that beef producers should be kind of excited to look out for?
Oh yeah, we're going to be looking at infectious disease model, heifer development programs, lots of different things that impact our beef industry, our producers on a day-to-day basis, and we're just thankful for the opportunity. We're thankful for the foresight of the Iowa Beef Industry Council board members. And when you start to think about your checkoff and you think about what does it do for me, it's not only out there promoting beef, but now it's helping solve the production issues that we deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Right, and then other than just through the beef checkoff, what are the ways that our listeners and producers would be able to find that research, find that information, and just learn more about it?
If you go on the Iowa Beef Industry Council website, there's a list of the 14 trials that we've funded since 2018, the 5 studies that we've funded here in 2022, and email us, right? And ask us for questions, ask us. Go on the Iowa Beef Center at Iowa State, the Iowa Beef Center website. You'll see that their website highlights a lot of these research projects. It has a highlight of the extension opportunities that are coming forward, and those are just some of the ways. I guess the Iowa Cattlemen's Association, the Iowa Beef Industry Center or Council, and the Iowa Beef Center at Iowa State, ICA, IBIC, and IBC. I can't get all the acronyms straight, but if you go to those 3 websites, they're all highlighted. And the other thing is the stresses. If you want to get involved, all right, if you want to be involved, that's the reason why we have organized agriculture. So it's not just about getting your dues or just getting your check off. It's about being a participant, being in the know, and really help us lead and drive this beef industry forward. We need you.
That again was Iowa State University Professor Dr. Dan Thomson. As for right now, let's go ahead and take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, recently it's been cold but still unseasonably warm, and we've had more rain than we had snow. Now, this morning we did see light snow across the state that's made conditions a little bit slippery, so make sure you're careful if you're out on the drive. But otherwise, pretty seasonable aside from those a little bit above average temperatures. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the National Weather Service has in store for the next 24 hours. As you can see from the National Weather Service, snow is back in the forecast. Today we've got a chance for snow and rain across the state early on. There is a winter weather advisory in effect in northwest Iowa until 6 p.m. tonight. Highs range from the low 20s to low 30s. Tonight we have a slight chance for snow, otherwise it'll be cold and cloudy. Lows overnight range from the mid-teens to upper 20s, and tomorrow expect mostly cloudy to decreasingly cloudy skies. There's a slight chance for snow in the east, with highs ranging from the low 20s to mid-30s. And taking a look at the affiliate weather map for tomorrow, Cherokee will be mostly cloudy with a high of 22, Shenandoah decreasing clouds and a high of 33, Des Moines mostly cloudy with a high of 32, Waterloo mostly cloudy with a high of 32 as well, Albia will be mostly cloudy, then partly sunny and breezy with a high of 30. For more detailed forecasts in your part of the state, make sure to check in with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. That's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook, and that also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn, and you can find all of our video content as well as previous episodes of AMPM on our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our free Twice Daily Market podcast on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.